Hello everyone, welcome to the Student Stories series of interviews with some of our student ambassadors. And today we're going to be having a chat with one of our current students, Amy. Hi Amy, thanks for joining us today. First of all, can you just tell us, obviously just a little bit about you, what course you're studying?
Hi, so I'm Amy. I'm a first year sport and exercise science student.
Lovely, thanks Amy, thanks for joining us. So how have you found learning during the pandemic? Has that been quite tricky for you, or?
Yeah, it's definitely been different to what I think I imagined a few years ago, but obviously
Yeah.
there's quite a lot of unprecedented times at the moment, so you can't really plan. But I've been quite lucky in the sense that my course was one of the practical courses that was
Right.
able to get on campus. So for
Oh,
about 3/4 of the year, we have been able to have some practical sessions, which has been really good.
yeah, great. Good to hear. Okay, Amy, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just ask you to rewind a little bit. And can you tell us a little bit about your journey here? So sort of how you ended up on your course here at Brighton. So maybe thinking back to when you were doing like your GCSEs or your A levels or BTECs.
Yeah, okay. So I knew I liked sport. I've always liked sport since I was like a young child. And then when I was in year nine, we got to pick our options. So I chose BTEC Sport Level 2 as one of my options, as well as triple science. And I did geography and obviously the standard maths and English. But I found GCSEs quite stressful because I had like 23 exams in the space of a month and I just thought it was too much. And originally before that, I was planning on going to sixth form, but after the exams, I'd changed my mind and decided to go to college and did a level 3 in sport. So I carried on the level 2, which I did at GCSE.
Yeah, great, brilliant. So you had that kind of pathway and you chose that kind of pathway that was right for you at the time. So
Yeah,
yeah, and those choices didn't affect your, your ability or your chances to get into university, obviously.
yeah. No. I did research it before I started college in case I needed A levels because that's always good to check.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, really good advice there, just to sort of double check the entry requirements of the course, but also if you have got an idea of where you want to be after that, which is great. So talking about your course itself, Amy, can you just describe a bit about the course, what sort of stuff you do, but also perhaps how that's different from how you were studying when you were studying your BTECs?
So on sport and exercise science, we do quite a lot of practical. So you're taught theories in like big like lecture styles. Obviously, it's online now, so it's a little bit different. But you're taught the theory using textbooks, and you get to read a lot of the studies. And then you'll go into the labs, and you might try out the tests yourself. You might test them on your friend or test it yourself, and then you can compare it to like the normative data. So like how that compares to the public, which is quite interesting. It's quite different to school because a lot more of it's independent. So when I first got my timetable, I was quite shocked at the lack of time that was on it. But we get a limited amount of contact hours, and then all your other studies is based around that time that you have to work out yourself.
Yeah, and I guess that's quite a big difference, isn't it, between, your kind of more structured lessons when you were at school or college to coming to that. How do you manage your time with stuff like that then? Have you found that tricky, or have you got any techniques that you do to
It
do
was
that?
quite hard at the start because I
Yeah.
think I was just doing work whenever it came. I didn't really have a schedule, or I just was doing it whenever I felt like it. And
Yeah.
sometimes you can have a few days, one after the other, where you don't feel like it, and it can quite quickly add up. So I
Yeah.
try and use a plan. So I don't have like necessarily a schedule like school because sometimes you don't want to do something at 9 a.m. and you might work better in the evening that day. But I try and set out a weekly list. So things I need to get done that week. It doesn't matter when I do it, as long as it's done by the end of the week, which I found quite useful.
Yeah, no, definitely. Always good to sort of have a bit of a plan, isn't it? Just to kind of, and that again, that's quite a big difference from school or college, isn't it? That onus is on you to make those choices yourself. So that's great. And Aim, I'd just like to talk a little bit about because I know through your application process and when you were making your decision to come to Brighton, you attended what's called a university summer school, didn't you? And I know here at Brighton we run some, and they are run by other universities too. So could you just tell us a little bit about what that was and how that sort of affected your decision making?
So when I was in the first year of college, I kind of knew I wanted to go to uni. I wasn't really sure if I wanted to go down the PE route or I didn't really know that much about it. So remember looking on universities' websites and I saw that Brighton were offering summer schools. They had summer schools for lots of different departments. So it wasn't only sport, but you can kind of choose where your interest is. You haven't got to know what course you definitely want to do, but maybe just the area that you like. And I went on a residential one. So we was able to stay in halls for like 5 days and we worked with the ambassadors who were like current students, which was really good to meet them. We went in the labs, we did a lot of tests. Yeah, just good. I got to see what Eastbourne was like as well, which I've never necessarily seen before. and I got to live there, which I think like for 5 days is quite a good experience because you see more than what you would at an open day. And then I remember when I came in September, I knew my way around a little bit, which was quite useful.
Yeah, no, great, definitely. Yes, so you'd already had like a taste of what it's going to be like. Where are you from originally, Amy? Are you from
South East London, so quite different to Eastbourne. So it was
Yeah.
good to see what it was like and what it would be like to stay that far away from home because I've never really done that before.
Absolutely, great. Well, no, I'm so pleased that you did join us for that, and it's great that that you have ended up here, which is fantastic. So just to kind of the last couple of questions just to finish off. So if could you just tell us a little bit about why Brighton or Eastbourne, where you're studying, what do you like about it, and what sort of things can you do outside of your studies that makes your time here exciting?
Yeah, I know I like the beach. That was one of my first attractions to it because obviously a beach for me usually was like a day out or a holiday kind of thing. So to be able to live by a beach was definitely an attractive part of it. And obviously my course is at Eastbourne, but it's got quite close links to Brighton. So there's a few campuses at Brighton, but it's quite easy to get to and from.
Mhm.
And outside of my studies, I play a lot of sport, and I joined a local team in Eastbourne. So I was able to meet people that weren't necessarily at uni or on my course, which I think was good. Definitely a good start to make you feel like you belong in the area a little bit better as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, like you say, it's a good way to meet people, isn't it? Like, because there's so much more to university life than just your study. So it's great you've had those opportunities. Just to finish off, Amy, just final question. So what advice? So say you were going to be speaking to some year 12 or year 13 students who are just kind of assessing their options at the moment, whether or not universities for them. What sort of advice would you give them if you could go and speak to them now?
So I'd probably say if you want to go to university, choose something you enjoy. I wouldn't worry too much about the career prospects or what job, because you haven't got to know that yet. A lot of people even still on the degree don't really know. They're just choosing what they enjoy. But I'd also suggest that you do your research around what you like. You haven't necessarily got to do what your friends are doing because in a few years' time you're going to meet so many more people. And just choose what you enjoy and then maybe do your research around that. So if you use the UCAS website, you can like select an area. So maybe if you know how far away you want to live from home, or you can choose like a rough idea of the topic that you want, and a great big list comes up, and then you can start your research from there. So I think it's a good starting point.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's brilliant advice there, and I think that's true what you say. A degree still has loads of value when you graduate, even if you don't know what your career path is just yet. Like you say, some students don't either, but just that experience of coming to university and having the degree is really valuable. So that's great. Okay, well, thanks a lot for speaking to us today. That's been really, really helpful. And hopefully we'll see you soon, and best of luck with the rest of your course.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. See ya.
Bye.